So if you're unwilling to carry that ego humiliation that comes in the middle of life, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, you will not move toward total reality. Now, when I say total reality today equals God, same thing. We who are believers simply use the word God, but people who don't believe, they'll use the word total reality, perhaps, or force, or something else. The irony is, brothers and sisters, that we actually frustrate in ourselves and for ourselves what we want the most. I don't know why we do this. This is what's damnable about human nature. We really are our own worst enemy. We're a living contradiction, it seems, acting at cross purposes to our own best intents and purposes. We need to know how we are our own worst enemy. And that's what I'm going to try to help you see today, so that you can flow with your gift and also integrate your sin, your shadow, your failure, that which you're afraid of, the stone which you have rejected. The contradictions that we are must be overcome by both affirming them and countering them almost simultaneously. Affirming that broken side as the place of the wound. And that's why we are the religion of the wound, that says it's through the wound that we are healed, through the wound that we come to God. This is the art form of the Enneagram. It simply teaches you how to do that. In that sense, I'm just amazed that some people can think this is New Age or pagan. It's anything but. It's Christian to the core in my understanding of it. But it's at a level of Christianity that I think, frankly, an awful lot of Christians have not wanted to go. We've all created a survival strategy. We've all created a strategic self, a marketable self, a personal manager that we have to fire. And this personal manager is in rather total control of you. And he has told you how to manage yourself for so many years, you don't want to fire him. Because he's sort of working. What we hope for is that he fails. Teresa of Avila had so many wonderful lines, but she said, the sinner is actually one who does not love himself or herself enough. He or she does not see or admire this whole self that we are. And so we split. We try to love the good self and reject the bad self, and we get into this dualism that characterizes most Western people. Instead of this suffering of reality, this bearing of the burden of the two sides of the mystery that we are. Allowing, as Jesus puts it in Matthew 13, the field of weeds and wheat to grow together until the harvest. That's a one-liner from Jesus himself. So don't report me to the bishop, all right? Let the weeds and wheat grow together until the harvest. And don't go and try to pull out the weeds. Because if you do, Jesus says, you'll destroy the wheat along with it. My God, that's brilliant. Why didn't we hear that? Because the calculating mind is always a dualistic mind. It only can read reality in terms of either or. Good guys, bad guys, absolute evil and absolute good. That's why Peter Jackson did what he did with Tolkien's book. That's the best he can do. Is spectacular battle scenes. And that reflects the readiness of our mind, I think. We must notice, brothers and sisters, how we each block ourselves by a preferred style of perception. A preferred style of perception. And that style of perception has become your way of getting your energy. And it works for you. But what I want to point out, if I can today, is, to use a physical image, it's white gas. Your car can go on it, but it's finally going to destroy the car. And it ain't going to drive real well on cheap gas. And what we're going to try to do today is take that white gas out and at least show you how to get access with ethyl supreme that doesn't knock or whatever. You know, the real good stuff. It seems that what we do, we actually subvert, and this has to be our original sin. We actually subvert our pleasure and our enjoyment. I'm going to say this, and this will sound too naive to some of you, but it'll make sense, I hope, by the end of the day. If you're not enjoying life at a foundational level, you're not doing it right. You're involved in this approach avoidance, going with the energy and attacking it and hating yourself for it, always at the same time. Most people I know live with one foot on the accelerator and one foot on the brake. Do you see? The guilt and the shame and the fear, they've all been, I shouldn't be this way, but I am, but I don't know how to get rid of it. I'll just keep confessing it or hating myself for it, which profits you nothing. When you're living life right, you will enjoy life. I'm not saying there won't be sufferings and difficulty and hardships, but even underneath those, there's a foundational happiness, a foundational contentment that I am who I am, and it's okay. And God is using all of me, to bring me to God. And I don't spend any time now splitting or projecting or avoiding or denying, because it is what it is, and I am what I am, good and bad put together into one self. And God's mercy is so great, and God's love is so total, that God uses even your sin in your favor. Right? That's it. God will use even your so-called dark side to bring you to God. Tell me what the gospel would be if it's not that. Tell me. What would be good news? All the rest of it is not good news. Most that has been handed to me as good news is bad news, because it's still based on somehow getting rid of something that, damn it, I can't get rid of, right? And so you just live with this terrible, constant self-hatred, which has almost come to be the characteristic of the West. There's this constant, deep self-hatred and self-rejection. The sinner is actually one who does not love himself or herself enough. And so I hope on the other side we can increase this love of yourself.